There are two ways to look at the cup, guys. The glass half full view is that we have been unbeaten in our last 5 league games. That sounds good on the surface. But the glass half empty tells a different story. One win came against a struggling Wolves side, another against Frank's Spurs, and the other results were draws against Leeds and then Fulham yesterday. Now, if you asked us before the game if we would take a draw away at Craven Cottage, we would not be thrilled, but we probably would accept it. That is especially true when you consider our situation right now with our top goal scorer and arguably our best player, Hugo, missing the game. But after watching how the match actually played out, and more importantly, how it ended, that draw really felt like a loss. What makes it even worse than the result itself is that it feels like we are stuck listening to the same broken record. The exact same problems in Arne Slot's system showed up again, and they cost us once more. If it was not for a small tweak in the second half, Fulham could have easily walked away with all 3 points. So if you want to understand what went wrong, what actually went right, and also talk about a massive issue with one of our players, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons, and let us jump straight into the video. Like we always do, let's start with the team that Slot picked. Alisson stayed between the posts with Milos Kerkez, Virgil van Dijk, Ibrahima Konate, and Connor Bradley making up the back line. In midfield, Ryan Gravenberch, Curtis Jones, Alexis McAllister, and Dominic Szoboszlai all started together, while Cody Gakpo and Florian Wirtz led the line up front. When you first hear that lineup, you might think we set up in a 4-4-2 diamond, but that was not really the case. As you can see on the screen, our build-up shape changed depending on the situation, but the main idea stayed the same throughout the game. Konate and Van Dijk acted as the anchors at the back, while the fullbacks took turns either dropping deep to help with the build-up or pushing high to hold the width. In the middle, Gravenberch and McAllister formed the double pivot, and this is where the first problem appeared. Jones, who has been excellent recently when dropping into the first line to collect the ball and help progress play, was pushed higher up the pitch this time. Alexis was the one sitting deeper instead. This was likely done because Curtis is more mobile, and with Hugo missing, we didn't really have a clear focal point up front, especially with Gakpo and Wirtz constantly rotating their positions. This clearly affected the way we wanted to keep the ball, move it around, and progress through the thirds, especially when you compare it to the last game against Leeds. Because of that, our biggest issue, the lack of ideas and creativity in the final third, looked even worse. In the entire first half, we created just 0.40 XG, which really says it all. It was an uninspiring performance, to put it politely. But sadly, that was not even the biggest problem. Believe it or not, the goal we conceded was almost a copy of so many other goals we have allowed this season. We have seen this exact pattern far too many times already, so let us break it down and show you how it happened. The problem starts with our first line of pressure not doing enough to close down the ball. That allows their player to receive between our lines. At first, it does not look too dangerous because the ball is played back out to their wide centre back. But then look at what happens next. Because we always prioritize defending the man instead of protecting the space in our mid-block. Gravenberch gets dragged out of position as he focuses on following Wilson's run. That movement creates the gap you see opening up in midfield. Jimenez then exploits it perfectly by making a counter movement, while Wilson keeps running and pulling defenders with him. From there, the wide centre-back finds the striker with a simple pass, and with one quick flick, the ball is played into a dangerous goal-scoring situation. This is the same problem showing up again and again. If you go back and watch our post-game videos, you will probably hear us talking about this exact issue almost every time we concede an easy goal. Just off the top of our heads, it happened against Galatasaray, Chelsea, PSV, and plenty of other teams. People might point the finger at the players for leaving so much space in the middle, but when something keeps happening this often, it is clearly not an individual mistake anymore. It is a structural problem. In a mid-block, you have to prioritize defending the space, cutting passing lanes, and stopping opponents from playing through you. By man marking in midfield, we do the complete opposite. We allow teams to drag our players out of position, open up gaps, and create free men in dangerous areas. In the second half, there was a small improvement, and we started to build a bit of momentum. That mainly came from Slot deciding to tweak the approach. After the break, we pressed Fulham in a much more man-to-man way across the entire pitch. This time it was not just the midfielders tracking players, but the forwards and defenders as well. Naturally, that meant more pressure on the ball. In the build-up to our equaliser, you can clearly see Konate stepping out and following his man into midfield. That pressure forces the mistake. Bradley picks up the ball, and he then sets up Wirtz to score the equaliser. That goal did come with a bit of controversy, but it completely changed the feel of the game. The on-field decision was offside, and then VAR stepped in to overrule it and give us the goal. But after looking at it properly, it turns out the goal probably should not have stood. So what do you guys think? Was Wirtz offside? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. After that goal, we clearly had momentum and we kept pushing for a second. Eventually, we did get it. The issue, though, is that even with Slot bringing Frimpong on and him getting the assist, the decision to take Wirtz off felt a bit strange. He was arguably our most lively player on the pitch, and the moment he came off, it felt like our attacking edge disappeared. Thankfully, Gakpo still managed to get on the score sheet. Of course, that did not last long because Reed came back with an absolute rocket to cancel it out. In the end, we walked away with a draw, which was probably the fairest result, so there is no point dwelling on it too much. What we do need to talk about, though, is something that was extremely frustrating, and it involves one specific player. It is an issue we have seen again and again this season. We are talking about Gravenberch and his inability to spot runners in behind. Look at this moment, for example, and we know for a fact you were shouting at your screen when you saw it live. Grav does spot Gakpo making the run in behind here, but he still does not play the pass. So the question is, why? If you look closely at his preparation after receiving the ball, it starts to make sense. His standing foot is not planted next to the ball, and there is no sign of him leaning back to get the height needed for that type of pass. Everything about his body shape suggests that playing that ball was never really his intention in the first place. And that is probably because he is simply not used to it. Gravenberch is a carry-first midfielder, and I think we can all agree on that. He likes to drive with the ball and progress play by moving forward himself. The problem is that these situations have become more frequent, especially since Trent has been out. Because of that, we are being denied so many good opportunities simply because he struggles to consistently find those runners in behind. So to wrap this one up, a draw away at Craven Cottage is not the worst result in the world, especially when you look at the context and the players we were missing. But at the same time, it is hard to ignore that familiar feeling of frustration. We have seen this movie too many times already this season, and the problems are starting to feel less like bad days and more like real patterns. There were some positives for sure. The second half response was better, the tweak in the press gave us more control, and once we matched Fulham man for man, the game started to swing our way. But those flashes are still not enough to hide the bigger issues, especially our struggles in the final third and the way teams keep finding space through our midfield. Slot has shown that he is willing to adapt, and that is encouraging. But these recurring problems need fixing sooner rather than later, because better teams will punish us even more. The quality is there, the effort is there, but the balance still feels off. As always, let us know what you thought of the performance down in the comments. If you enjoyed the breakdown, make sure to like, subscribe, and we will catch you in the next one.